Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tips. I've got here Steve Sharp with me today.
Hi, everybody.
And always been a fun time for me with Steve. Steve and I have come a long time together. Back in my day as a broker, Steve used to be my state manager for Commonwealth Bank.
God, that was a while ago, mate.
Yes, been a minute. So for starters, one of the conversations today is about Movember. It's about mental health, more to the point. I thought with Steve it would be a good one for us to unpack a little bit, have a bit of a conversation, and just timing 2023, things that have happened this year, I think couldn't make it more prevalent to discuss. So Steve, just over to you on that. We talk about mental health, and it is so many different things for different people.
Yeah.
What do you think at this stage, seeing what you've seen, hearing what you hear, where can we help people? How can we help people quicker? How can we make sure people know there's not just one helping hand, there's many?
Yeah, and it is a critical topic. And, I speak to a lot of business owners about this, and, they ask me, what can I be doing to pick up on things in my people, and all of those types of things. So I'm on a real mission to help educate people, whether you're a business owner or a broker or anyone in life, around the neuroscience of stress and resilience, so people actually start to understand and be able to build self-awareness about when they're not in a good place. Because I think a lot of the time, and I went through this experience myself, I suffered depression and anxiety. I ended up spending 2 weeks in Belmont Hospital, and that was because of the culmination of years of stress, and me burying it got to the point where I burnt out. And when I reflect on that, I didn't realize that was happening to me. So helping people understand the biological mechanics of what's going on for them in terms of stress, and building their ability to read themselves, and then learn techniques to overcome those moments over time is really critical.
So if you talk about those techniques, can you give us some?
I can, yeah. So there's a couple I use, but the one go-to that I love is what's called the Big Four. Now, the background of the Big Four is from the Navy SEALs in the US. And so long story short, they obviously put their cadets through absolute hell. One of those exercises they have to do is what's called pool competency, where they put them in scuba gear, they drop them to the bottom of a pool, and the instructor goes down, turns off the oxygen, rips the mouthpiece out, takes their goggles off, pushes them around. They have to then untangle that, get the oxygen back on, and then the instructor will go down and do it again. And they have to last 20 minutes down there. So what the Navy SEALs did is they got a bunch of neuroscientists in to figure out what they could teach them to overcome what I would call our greatest fear, which is not being able to breathe. And so they taught them the Big Four, and the Big Four are, step number one is goal setting. So when you're in the grip, when you're in chaos, when you're stressed out, right, your body's in threat mode. And threat mode pumps adrenaline and cortisol through the body, which is great in short stints, but really detrimental to mental and physical health. So what you have to do is get out of it. And goal setting is about going, what's my next best step? Instead of worrying and stressing about all the stuff that's out there, what do I need to do? It's 10 a.m. What do I need to do between now and 11? Get to 11. What do I need to do now between 11 and 12? So chunking it down. Step two is visualization or mental rehearsal. So actually visualizing yourself doing the 10 to 11 activities. And the neuroscience behind visualization is this thing can't tell the difference between you visualizing yourself doing something and you actually doing it. So by the time you get to do it in reality, this thing thinks you've already done it. So therefore your stress response drops dramatically.
Okay. Subconscious, conscious.
Yeah. And so that's why you see sports people visualizing themselves before a game or before an act, right? It's to get their mental state in the calmest possible position. Step number 3 is what's called positive self-talk, right? So we talk to ourselves at 300 to 1,000 words a minute. That's a lot of talking. If the majority of the words that we are talking to ourselves is negative, it will trigger our threat response. So it puts us deeper into stress. And so positive self-talk in those moments of stress is, I can do this. Yeah, one step at a time, Sharpie. You can do it. Yeah. So being productively positive with what's coming out of your internal mouth is critical to lower your stress response and put you in a position where you can focus and move forward. And the 4th one is breathing. Yep. So long intakes and exhale triggers our relaxation circuitry, which rids our body of adrenaline and cortisol. So when you combine those 4, what they're actually doing in that order is ridding the body. It's calming your mental state down, getting the right part of your brain in control, and then ridding your body of the adrenaline and cortisol that gets you all jacked up.
Which sounds so easy, but I'm assuming in the moment.
It's very difficult to do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I for one can say I was watching South Africa in the World Cup, and it was stressful. I had to go in the last 13 minutes against England. I had to go for a walk.
I know. I rang you and you were walking.
And I was just, as you know, I just couldn't sit still. It was just too hard for me. It was just too close to home.
Yes. So that's a perfect example of your body in threat response, right?
Yeah.
And so unless you're in physical danger, a human being in their threat response is counterproductive for themselves and anyone they're dealing with. Yeah. So in any situation, first you have to control yourself. You have to apply the mask before helping others. The better you get at recognizing when you're in those moments, putting the big 4 in place and getting yourself out of it, the more you do it, the quicker you'll become at it. The value that you can add to others becomes exponentially better because you can then teach them. So I always say to business owners, if you get good at this, and you spot one of your team members in that moment, you can say to them, all right, understand where you're at. I know it sucks, but let's have a think about what's your next best step. What do you need to do? What does that look like? You can do it, buddy. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. We're good. Yeah. The practice of doing that for your people over and over again means that they will love you for it. Yep. People always get to choose. Isn't it? People always get to choose who they follow.
Agree.
Yep. If you can be that calming response and help people get out of their threat response and back into a productive state, you are building a workplace environment that will be unstoppable and your competitive advantage.
So for us to conclude, I would like to say 2 things. 1, leading by example. This is where it starts, is where it stops.
Yeah.
Secondly, it just makes me think about flying. I mean, one of the things in flying that I thought was very interesting always has been, if the mask were going to drop, get your own mask on first before you do anything else. And so it's just what you're saying. It's so funny how I can just already take a scenario and you can almost play it for what it is.
Yeah.
So on that note, I want to say thank you to Steve for sharing this with us today. I think what I love here is we always look at the helicopter review. We always look at the overview. This was quite granular. I mean, knowing those 4 points, and it's easier said than done, but I think at least knowing them, it's starting with point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. And the more you do it, it's starting to go 1, 2, 3, maybe then 4.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks,
everyone. Talk soon.